And we are live. Praise be the Emperor. Praise be the Omnissiah. Good evening and welcome to a very different on Darian ASMR livestream. You join me with a special guest in that what you see before you is in fact a model, which is obvious. It's a painting model. Now let me just, before I do anything, I need to just make sure people know I'm live. So sorry it's a bit blurred. I will try and pull it out. And I'll explain the what we're gonna do in a sec. I just need to pop out the chat so I can actually see the conversation going on my laptop. I can also make sure everything is working correctly, which it is. We've got sound. We've got fans on because it's so warm up here. So I'm just going to do a quick Twitter message. Do it in capitals so that they can hear me. There we go. So hopefully that will get the message across. So, what have we got in front of us? A Primaris Space Marine. So, for anyone, I'll give you a quick rundown on Warhammer 40k lore. Around the year, before the year, well, a long time ago in its history, Earth was divided up into different nations, known as the Techno-Barbarian nations. And after a war of unification, the Emperor of Mankind basically did what the wars did, unified Earth. So he started out on what was known as a Great Crusade. By the time this all occurred, Earth had colonies which were lost to galactic storms known as warp storms. You'll have to bear with me, it's been a while since I've done anything sort of 40k, so the lore may have changed a bit since I stopped playing. I need that. It's okay, it's just something I need. Anyway, so, where was I? Oh yes, the Emperor of Mankind united Earth, started uniting the galaxy. During the Unification Wars, he developed a army of superhuman soldiers called Thunder Warriors. Now, they were basically like your prototype Space Marines. They didn't have any of the armour or, equipment. I mean, that's the plasma gun that comes with this model. That's a plasma gun. They didn't have any of the equipment or technology that the Space Marines, that most players of Warhammer 40k and the Horus Heresy know. So, during that time, he developed the Space Marines, and he developed 20 legions. And each legion was split up into a chapter. Over the years of the Great Crusade, he discovered his lost sons, the Primarchs. Now, I can list them all, but it's more fun to go and investigate that part of the history yourself. However, the Great Crusade ended in a conflict known as the Horus Heresy, where his favoured son, Horus, Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, which became the Sons of Horus, rebelled along with 9 other Space Marine legions. By this time, there were 2 legions that had already been lost. The 2nd Legion and the 11th Legion. Nothing is known about them. We don't know who their Primarchs are. We don't even know what their names were. Their names have been completely expunged from the history. The Space Marine legions that rebelled against the Emperor in the Horus Heresy are just declared excommunicate traitoris. Oh, hello, Miss Sheik. Hello. Thank you for joining. Lovely to have you here. So anyway, the rebellion happened, and after that, the legions were split down into chapters. The most famous being the Ultramarine chapter, which also has the most later founding chapters. So we're talking about things like the Aurora chapter, Genesis chapter, Sons of Macragge, Sons of Medusa, chapters like that. And their armour was advanced, but this is the next stage. They had armour from Mark II iron armour up to Mark 7, which is the Aquila armour, which is the most advanced irregular space. This is a Primaris Space Marine. This is the next step. Now, a real-life Space Marine would actually stand at about 8 or 9 feet tall. Primaris Space Marine stand at about 10 feet tall. Now, to give you a idea, I'm 5'11", so they would absolutely tower over me. They'd be about, 4.1 feet taller than me, which they are massive, heavily armoured. They have power pack to keep their armour powered, obviously, and they are the most advanced warriors. They're basically warrior monks They worship the Emperor, the God Emperor of mankind. You do get other factions. You've got the Imperial Guard, which is also known as the Astra Militarum. You've got the Adeptus Mechanicus. You've got the Adeptus Sororitas, also known as Sisters of Battle. And you've got the most elite unit of fighting forces, known as the Adeptus Custodes. Now, they are the elite protectors of the Emperor himself. And the fact that they have actually spread forth from Holy Terra, Earth, to take up arms in the galaxy once more, means that something pretty big is happening. And that is the expanse of chaos. 4 Chaos Gods: Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh and Tzeentch. Some also recognise the unofficial 5th Chaos God, Malal, also known as Malice. And there's also mention of minor Chaos Gods known as Zuvazin and Nekaho. Zuvazin is the Undoer, supposed to be an enemy of Tzeentch, and Nekaho is also known as the Doubter. The irony being that because he is the Chaos God of Doubt, he should not exist. In the stories that he's featured in, if he appears as an old man with a somewhat ironic grin on his face. So anyway, the Space Marine Legions split. 9 became Servants of Chaos, and 9 remained loyal to the Emperor. The Primaris Space Marine I have before me is Loyalist, mainly because they were developed by the Loyalists as the next stage of the Space Marine program. Chaos have their own equivalent, but I'm not sure if that's been covered yet by Games Workshop. I'm sure we'll find out. That would be under a story featuring, I would say, Fabius Bile, or someone else from the Emperor's Children who seek perfection. So this is a Loyalist Space Marine from a Loyalist chapter, but I'm not going to paint it as Blood Angels, I'm not going to paint it as Dark Angels, Space Wolves, White Scars, Imperial Fists, Ultramarines. You name the chapter, I'm not going to paint it as that. This is going to be painted in my chapter colours. I have my own chapter. The chapter is called the Sons of Dracos. They are a alleged successor chapter to the Salamanders. But their colour scheme, and you will see this as it goes, is very, very different. They stand out amongst all other... Well, no, a lot of Space Marines chapters stand out amongst all other chapters because there are very, very varied colour schemes. But in comparison to the Salamander chapter, who my chapter claims to be descended from, it's very, very unlikely that they are actually descended from the chapter itself, because of their colour scheme mainly. And you'll see as we go. So there's a few bits and pieces I need to I just need a little bit of black paint. We'll get some kitchen towel. I've got fans on because it's quite warm up here. And first things first, I'll find a decent brush, one that hasn't caked up too much. There we go. Need to do a few little touch-ups of the black paint. There's a few little bits that need just to be, and that won't take very long to dry. The nice thing about a model being this size, painting it, in comparison to a regular Games Workshop model, is the size is actually you can actually handle it quite nicely. So we are going to just paint the... Now, normally I would do this with an airbrush, but something tells me I want to go traditional with this. I want to paint it in the way that I've painted all my models all my life, by hand. So we are just going to clean off the brush. And I need to find that's the interesting purple that we'll save for something else. That's the one colour I need. That's a screwdriver. I'm just trying to find my purple, or a purple that I can use. That's the other one I need. Okay, here we go. Oh, yes. That is so satisfying. That is so satisfying to see. Might have to do a couple of coats, but as it dries, that's okay. Might need a bigger brush. Gonna need a bigger brush. Here we go. Oh, a bit watery. Bit too watery. I think we'll have to go back to the brush we had, which is fine. Which is absolutely fine. Now I can imagine a lot of people will say, I would have airbrushed that, but you know, some people do have airbrush, some people don't, and that's okay. I do have an airbrush, but I do miss painting by hand. and I enjoy painting by hand. And the shoulder pads are going to be a slightly different colour anyway. Well, at least the shoulder pads are going to be a slightly different colour, but I wanted to get the... I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a black bird going absolutely balmy out the back there. I've got windows open because it's quite warm. So I don't know if you can see that. I think you can, because it's... I've got the light on it. There we go. So that's the beginnings of the shoulder pad. So yeah, we're doing all right. We are doing all right. I will just check in case I have got some of the purple. Regal blue, Scab red, Bieltan green. What's that? Oh, Draken Nightshade. No, don't want that yet. Some blazing orange. Oh, fiery orange. Haven't seen that in years. Crystal orange, we'll want that. Metallic orange, we'll want that. Ah, my other lush purple. Silver. There we go. So. Right, okay, got a bigger brush. Managed to find me a bigger brush. And yes, I am quite unorthodox in the way that I paint, but you know, I'm alright with that. I'm absolutely alright with that. Just adjusting my screen. There we go. Right. fixed up the front of the armour. The thing is, I like to get a base coat on. I like to paint everything the primary colour first, and the primary colour being purple makes it so much easier. Might do metallic purple over the top of this, because I've got a metallic purple that I can mix with some black, and so we can have something a bit more metallic looking. But it's taking shape. The colour is taking shape, and I am quite happy with that. So, pardon me if I don't talk too much, because we're obviously trying to get as much paint on here as possible. As I said, many people probably won't agree with me painting this by hand, but that's how I want to do it, because that's how I've painted Space Marines for so many years, and I feel I want to continue the tradition. Getting a bit thin now, so the purple is getting a bit thin, so we're having to work with what we have. Mind you, I think I'm just thinking. Unfortunately, I don't think I did. Never mind. Gonna try and salvage as much of this as I can from the inside. I think it's working. I think it's working. I'm just going to move the screen a little bit so I can see what I'm looking at. There we go. I think, yeah, it's worked. Not much, but it's better than nothing. Pop that down there. Try and I think we're getting some life back into the paint. Persistence pays off. Always does. We'll try and get this all mixed. You're probably sitting there thinking, why didn't he mix that before he started? Because I wasn't aware that it was all caked up. But this is the learning curve we have. You know, we all have a learning curve. There we go. There we go. Just by putting in some water, we are... Yes! Life has returned. to the Leish Purple. Not a great amount of life, but just enough that we can get this base coated with dark purple. Now I'm holding it by the legs because we'll paint the legs once the purple on the arms and head have fully dried, which doesn't take long because it's water-based acrylics. So oh, and I've just knocked the Warhammer 40,000 base off, but that's okay because that's all it's going to stand on when you've finished. You can see it's becoming a bit more vivid in its purple. Because light purple is supposed to be quite vivid. Of course, we do a quick mix. And even if it turns out I'm the only person watching this because I have got it on my computer so I can keep an eye on the time, that's okay because I'm enjoying myself and I am doing what I love most. As I said, most people will not fully agree with my method of painting by hand, but this is me. This is how I want to do it. So there we go. That's, well, we haven't quite finished the head or the backpack. Now, unlike most chapters, the Sons of Dracus don't exactly have a chapter badge. Mainly because I can't paint one, so, you know, go with what we have again, but just want to look at something. Right. Just going to let that dry for a second. You can see the difference. There we go. Just let that dry before we do the legs. So that's the top half of the Space Marine done. I want to try something. I'm just letting that dry before the next phase is underway. There we go. Sorry it's a bit blurred, but that's the best I can do at the moment. Also, it's drying off nicely, so what we do is I tend to sort of take the excess paint and just spread it around a bit more to help it dry. Usually, whilst I'm painting, I normally have some sort of power or symphonic metal playing. Dragon Force, Nightwish, Epica, Within Temptation, anything like that really. Crypteria, Delane. But, you know, as it's a live stream, can't really have copyrighted music playing in the background, so you'll just have to make do with me chatting. See the soaring eagle fly, see the warriors fight and die, see the lightning crack the sky with the last dragon born. To the mountains we will go. Clash of steel will crush our foe. Through the fires of hell below, with the last dragon born. The dragon born. just get the backpack painted. This technically all does come apart, but to be honest with you, it's a lot more problematic to take apart than it is just to paint as one single unit. So that is what I'm doing. I'm just painting a couple of pouches purple, but they will be painted a different colour later. It's just that it's easier to base everything in purple and then work around it. I don't know if you can hear that. As I say, I started this live stream early because I wanted to make sure I made the most of the natural light coming through my window behind me. Okay, so it has been sort of taken out of shot, but this is because I need to focus on painting the lower limbs, which are quite juddery. Well, they can be anyway. It can be quite juddery. So as I said, recap of brief history of Space Marines. Sort of early Imperium, Unification Wars and the Thunder Warriors. Short lifespans, none of them became Space Marines. But they paved the way for the Adeptus Astartes that we all know, who play 40k, who we all know today. So as I said, there are going to be a lot of people that aren't keen on the way I'm doing this, because obviously I'm painting by hand, but I could airbrush, but I just think it's more fun to go back to my roots as a model painter and paint this by hand. Actually, that is looking pretty decent. I don't think we're going to need any more coats of there we go. So, there we go. put some purple on the old fingers. And yes, this is fully primed with Games Workshop Chaos Black undercoat. Or I believe it's now called Abaddon Black, if you're familiar with the current paint sets in 40k in Games Workshop stores. I'm still having to learn the colour equivalents, which is a bit of a nuisance, but you know, times move on, and so must we. There. One purple Space Marine. I just want to check if this is acrylic. It says acid free. Let's have a quick look. So I think we can do a bit of a dry brush, if that's the case. Bit of a shiny wash, perhaps. Give it a bit of shimmer. If we don't like it, we just paint over it. Just see how one shoulder pad looks. Actually, do you know what? That don't look too bad. Because it's like a sort of metallic wash. I like that. I like that very much indeed. That goes up there. I like... yes. Yes, that is picking out the. Giving it like an army, like an armoured. Like a sheen. Like a new. Like it's. It'll certainly give it a bit of a reflective, you know, because this is going to have a lot of metallic colours in it, so I think this is going to work as a wash, as a metallic style wash. Make it stand out a lot more. I mean, it is giving it a sheen, which is technically what a Space Marine ought to have. And the Sons of Dracos are quite pretentious on that. That their armour gleams in the sunlight. Ugh. Apologies that I don't seem to do much talking, but you know, this is a creative live stream for once. I'm actually doing something, so you know, I won't be saying a great deal, but I hope you're enjoying watching me paint. I kind of hope I haven't ruined it. I don't think I have. Ooh, that's dry as a bone. Dry as a bone. But we do need, because we're going to do this as one of the companies, we also need the metallic. We need some brown shade. We won't use that. There we go. Oh. Ooh, that's not good. Right. So we're going to do it as now. If I remember my chapter, and I do have my chapter colours, we're going to do it with yellow trim around the shoulder pads. Now, if I remember, I need to go and remember which company that is. So, Sons of Dracos. There we go. View extra large icons. This is going to be a 4th company Space Marine. So, they all have the same colour of shoulder pad inserts. So we then up the brushes to a smaller brush, because this is where we start on the detail. And obviously if it doesn't get finished tonight, that's okay, because I can finish it another time off camera and show you the results. Oh yeah, that's fine, that's perfect. So as you can see, what I'm doing is painting that a slightly different colour now, with a slightly thicker paint which will dry over the top. But that's because we're going to layer it anyway, so as I say, apologies that I'm not doing a lot of talking, but when I'm focused on what I'm doing, so there we go. that's not the actual colour of the shoulder pad. That is basically its base coat. So what you're seeing is pretty much what is underneath, and we're just going to paint the top of the helmet as well in a similar colour, slightly darker but still the same manner. Around the back of the helmet. And do I normally do the face plates? No, I don't normally do the face plates. But I do normally do the exhausts on the backpack as well. In fact, I always do the exhausts on the backpack. I will need to do some tidying up of the model before I do the next phase of painting, so that will take time, because I think I'm going to have to do some. I'm going to have to go over this purple because it's a bit strange. It's a bit sticky. I don't know if it's like a gloss or if, well, it is a gloss, I guess, but it's water based anyway. So I might have to I think I've got I've got my red, and I think I've got some blue somewhere I can do a wash as a wash. I hope it's in here. Oh, this is actually a base coat, but you know, and it's dry. Typical. I have got another thing of paint in my cupboard, so bear with me. I have got another thing of paint in my cupboard. Enchanted blue. That should do it. Oh, we're going to make a purple. We are going to make a purple with some enchanted blue and some red. It'll probably be more like a wash, but you know, we work with what we have, as I always say. Lot more red than I anticipated. There we go. It'll be slightly over to the reddish side. No, that's a little too much over to the blue side still. There it is. It's a tad darker. It's a tad off colour, but that's okay because I've decided that purple that I had was too bright anyway. So you're probably thinking to yourself, what is he doing? Method to my madness. Always method to my madness. Of course, I have to be quiet because I'm focused. I'm focused on what I'm doing. And you think to yourself, you probably think to yourself, well, this isn't much of a live stream, is it? Well, for some people it is, and you know, not all live streams have to be, you know, sort of bold, bright, and exciting. They can also be sort of relaxing and according to my screen, I am actually down to 0 viewers, and to be absolutely honest with you, I'm not bothered by that. I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing, talking to the camera, and this will just turn into a vlog. I'll unlist it and put it into a playlist, but you know, or make it available for those who want to see it, but you know, it's here, it exists. If people want sort of fast-paced, you know, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, sort of vlogs, you know, live streams, then by all means. I'm pretty good at talking to myself anyway. You know, I've spent a lot of my life talking to myself, so it just makes sense that I just carry on regardless. I'm not looking for sympathy, I'm not looking for pity, I'm not looking for fame or glory either. I'm just a YouTuber doing what I do best. Talking and thinking and sharing. You know, I'm sure there's some people out there who'll watch this back and go, ugh, look at that loser carrying on because there's, even though he's got no one there. Fine, if that's, you know, if that's what people want to think, let them think. Let them think that, you know. I'm a creative mind. I do what I do because I enjoy it. I repeat that a lot, but it's true. Oh, that's much better. I'm happier with that. I'm much happier with that shade. So dark, it's almost sort of black, but it's more sort of akin to my colour scheme of the other successor chapter I came up with for the Salamanders, which was the Knights of Revelation, which had black armour with orange trim, like as if it were lava. I want them to be dark again so I can paint over. The other problem the Sons of Dracos have in their claim of being Salamander successors is they have none of the gene seed defects that the Salamanders do, which brings into question their sort of level of not loyalty, you know, their origins. So we just paint over all the bits that are glossy, and you can still see where it's glossy. You can still see in the light, you can see hints of the purple shining through, and it's quite nice actually. It's under a bright light, you can still see some of the sheen from the paint, from the sort of shiny paint underneath. But this coat that I'm putting on just sort of tones it right back. Tones it, sort of takes it back to its sort of muted under a bright light, as I said, you can still see it's purple, but it's so dark now that... But that's the thing, I like painting my models sort of with dark colours, so that when I use bright colours, they shine through. And that's the beauty of... I mean, look at the state of my hands. I bet there's not many modelers who get their hands as messy as I do. That's always been a thing, though. Ooh, no, 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 no. We'll go back to some... We'll have to go back to... have to go back to lush purple for that, to rescue that. Bit of an accident with some brown paint, but we'll rescue that. How long have we been going? 1 hour 42 minutes. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, no, we are going to have to rescue that. Too much cross-contamination from other colours. Going to have to let that dry. I'm thinking I might call it a day, to be honest with you. Because I think it needs to dry properly. There's paint on it that's feeling sticky, so I need to let it dry completely before I do the next stage, which I will probably film separately, if at all. So bear with me. That's where we're up to. We haven't even got to the gun yet. In all fairness, this hasn't been the most successful live stream, but in view of actually getting things done, it's actually been quite successful, so I'm quite happy with getting done what I wanted to get done. So thank you for that, for joining me for that, and I truly appreciate it. And I will see you next time for another live stream. Bye for now.